Buenas tardes y bienvenidos al nuevo episodio de Rambler Sports Locker. Good evening, Rambler fans, and welcome to a new episode of Rambler Sports Locker. Yo soy Adriana Ramos.
Y yo soy Alfredo.
In today's episode, we will spice things up around here and speak some Spanish. What do you say, Alfredo?
Que bueno, I love it. Who wouldn't like to add some Latin spice into some sports?
Bien dicho. Well said.
The women's volleyball team fell to Wichita State on straight sets last Saturday. The Lady Ramblers hosted the conference-leading Shockers in Gentle Arena. After saving a set point, Caroline Holt's service went into the net, giving the Shockers a 25-23 first set victory. The Ramblers jumped to a 13-9 lead on the second set thanks to this Brittany Brown skill. The lead got as high as 5 thanks to one of Morgan Reardon's 6 kills in the second. Unfortunately, costly errors helped the Shockers regain the lead. The Ramblers got with 1 thanks to this East kill, but as a kill from Mary Ashton Floyd gave the Shockers the second set. The story repeated itself in the third set. Costly errors gave Wichita State the lead again, and an Abby Lehman kill put the Ramblers away for good in the third. The Ramblers hope to turn around their fortune this weekend as they head down to Carbondale to face conference foe Southern Illinois. Buena suerte, mujeres.
The women's soccer team defeated Indiana State 2-0 on Friday with the help of a record-breaking shutout by goalkeeper Monica Gagno. This game was the opener for both teams in the Missouri Valley Conference. Senior Sammy Gage headed the first goal into the net, while senior Valerie Gagno, Monica's twin, scored the second goal on a free kick. Monica Gagno finished the game with 4 saves, moving her to the top of Loyola's all-time shutouts board. However, the girls lost their next game to UIC on Sunday. The first shot on target for the Ramblers came from Carl Ruffalo during the 22nd minute, but was saved by the Flames goalkeeper. By halftime, the score was 0-0. The game went into extra time, with Gagno saving a shot just 45 seconds into it. However, Fuller scored the winning goal for the Flames only 38 seconds before the end of the first extra time. Well, dígame, Alfredo, tell me, does your family help you out with school stuff?
Yeah, sometimes. How come?
Because family favors were definitely shown on the girls' soccer team.
En serio? Seriously?
En serio.
The Manning brothers in football, the Williams sisters in tennis, the sports world is no stranger to family affairs. Just ask twins Valerie and Monica Gagno of Loyola's women's soccer team. Even starting soccer was a family affair for the Gagnos.
Our older sister got to pick a sport to play, and she chose soccer. So our parents signed all 3 of us up for soccer, and that's how we got started.
They said that throughout their career, whenever they switched to a new team, they went together, and college was no exception.
It just kind of happened, I think.
Yeah, we weren't planning on going together, but we knew it was an option. And if there was a school that would take both of us, we were definitely looking into it. So,
But I committed first, and then the coach asked if she wanted to come along, and she said yes.
Being twins is an advantage on the field because the Gagnos came to Loyola with a built-in chemistry.
We kind of have like that twin telepathy thing. Like,
we like to think.
We like to think like she knows I'm going to pass it back to her, or she's going to kick it to me.
And there's just like a trust between the both of us. And, she's going to mess up, she's going to have my back, or if I go up to make a save and it goes past me, she's sprinting behind me. So just kind of those kind of things.
For teammates, their relationship is a good example, making Valerie and Monica leaders on the field.
They bring like a special chemistry, and it's like nice that they're both in the same class. I mean, obviously they're twins, so it's just like nice that they can be leaders for us too, as being part of the senior class, and just like all throughout their 4 years that they've been here.
The two also add to the family feel of the team.
The other teammates see how close they are, and with the other sisters on the team, the Gages, the teammates see that. So when we do team stuff and team activities, they understand what it's about.
The team is scheduled.
Can you tell what I was thinking?
No, we're not twins. Yesterday, the men's soccer team played DePaul to a 0-0 draw after double overtime at Wish Field in Lincoln Park. The Ramblers had 3 clear chances to score in the first half, but the Demons goalkeeper, Mark Robinson, was definitely on his game. On the other hand, the Poles struggled to generate chances in the first half. The second half was very tactically played by both sides, and they both had a hard time creating chances until the first shot on target came in the 85th minute after a header was saved by the Ramblers goalie Simon Megali. 3 minutes later, the Demons almost scored the winner after a free kick went just above the crossbar. With the draw, the Ramblers record changed to 4-3-1 in the Missouri Valley Conference. The Ramblers return to action on Saturday evening when they host Northern Illinois Huskies at 7 p.m.
One of the most unusual occurrences in baseball happened this week in history. Kristina Carbonara has more.
This week in history, we go way back to the early days of the Prohibition. 60 years ago today, the first and only triple-header baseball game was played. On this date, October 2nd, 1920, the Cincinnati Reds played against my hometown's Pittsburgh Pirates 3 times in one day. Out of the 3 games, the Reds defeated the Pirates twice, 13-4 and 7-3, and the Pirates claimed victory only once with a score of 6-0. The teams played a total of 24 innings. Who could imagine sitting through that? Unfortunately, the Buccos didn't fare so well recently either. They just got eliminated from the playoffs last night. For This Week in History, I'm Kristina Carbonara. Back to you guys at the desk.
Wow, you must really enjoy baseball to sit through 3 whole games.
Exactamente. That's a very accurate statement, Alfredo.
Club football is in its 3rd year now and still looking for its first victory. Their opponent, the Pole. Did they get it right? Joaquin Carey found out.
1971. That was the last year Loyola had a club football team. 2 years ago, after more than 4 decades, the school and a group of students decided to resurrect the program. With the added backing of a few members from the original team, the current Ramblers were able to successfully launch the program into the 21st century.
You know, there's a core group from 70-71 who continue to support the redevelopment of the football team here at Loyola and the club ball, and support it financially and morally, and provide whatever we can support to get the program moving.
Now in its 3rd year, the club football team has reached a turning point in its development. They're actually competing in games.
It is way better. I remember the first game they ever played, they got beat really bad. They were just trying to get everything together.
Without a victory in its first 2 seasons, and already having lost once earlier this year, Loyola was due for a win. Luckily for them, their next opponent was DePaul, a team that had yet to play a single game. The Ramblers hit the ground running, led by Matt Boss. The shifty quarterback ran it into the end zone twice and finished with 110 rushing yards.
Oh, the offensive line did a great job today, and they were opening up holes. All I saw was field and maybe 1 defender and then the end zone.
Head coach John Clark is impressed with Boss's in-game instincts.
The game of football, he knows very well. And it's something that, as a coach, alleviates a lot of tension, because it's something that you can't teach, and it's something if a player has, you just have that much more of a game plan that you could work with.
Defensively, Loyola was a takeaway machine. They forced 4 turnovers, including 3 interceptions and a fumble. Coach Clark didn't take credit.
I could kind of turn the keys over to Bobby and his defense to a certain degree and say, just go play.
Far outmatching their untested opponents, the Ramblers cruised to a 30-6 victory. The win was the program's first in 43 years. Linebacker Bobby O'Mullen was relieved that the weight was finally lifted off their shoulders.
It's been a long road, and I think, well, today was well-deserved, I believe. You can see on the field.
Mulligan had one more thing to add.
Matt Boss balls on kids, hashtag.
Coach Clark was happy with how his guys played.
At the very core, I asked my guys to do 2 things. Do your job, make a play. And today, they did that more times than they didn't, so I'm proud of that.
With 1 tally in the win column, Boss and the rest of the team hopes that more Loyola students will come cheer on their peers.
If we keep winning and we make this a winning season, maybe more and more students will come out, more people will hear about us, because everybody wants to see winners.
While the first installment of what is being labeled as the Red Line rivalry wasn't competitive, Coach Clark believes that it can blossom into a popular Chicago tradition.
College football especially is something that not necessarily has been lacking, but the options have been. So having 2 schools that are in close proximity that have a great traditional history, both academically and athletically, competing against each other, we really hope this has started something great.
For the Rambler Sports Locker, I'm Joaquin Carrig.
The club football team next plays Robert Morris in Peoria, Illinois this Saturday.
Let's hope for win número 2.
The Ramblers men's golf team finished in 10th place in the Cleveland State Invitational at the Barrington Golf Club. The Ramblers finished Monday with a 2-round total of 601. The top spot for a Rambler was held by freshman Garrett Buckley, who tied for 17th place after posting a 3-over par 147 on Monday. The best individual round for the Ramblers went to junior PJ Reiner, who fired a 1-under par 71. The sophomore duo of Michael Valetti and Ben Holm were just 2 strokes apart from each other after they recorded scores of 151 and 153. The Ramblers head to Lemont, Illinois this weekend to play in the John Dalio Memorial, which is hosted by DePaul.
Tennis superstar Rafael Nadal is returning from his wrist injury to play in the China Open, but it's his coach and uncle who is generating the headlines. Last week, Tony Nadal expressed his disappointment in the Spanish Davis Cup team appointing a female coach. Stay tuned for the weekly ramble to hear what they have to say about Tony's remarks.
Welcome to this week's Weekly Ramble. I'm joined by Jake, our defending champ, and the challenger Molly, and we're going to be talking some tennis. Now, Gallet became the first female captain of Spain's Davis Cup team, but Tony Nadal, Rafael Nadal's uncle, believes that there's too big of a difference in the games to basically justify her position. So, is he right? Let's have a look. Jake, start it off.
This is a very complex issue that we're looking here, and we have to kind of go back and see what's happened to Spain and their tennis team this year. They just lost a match and got pushed back to the consolation bracket of the Davis Cup. Spain has been the most dominant team in the Davis Cup for the last decade, and going back has been an embarrassment. Their coach actually quit because he thought the team was not committed. I believe that Tony Nadal, and he also wanted Juan Carlos Ferrero to be the coach. Juan Carlos Ferrero was #1 in the world in the early 2000s and led Spain to their first ever win in the Davis Cup in 2000. He also won again in 2004 and was the leader of the team.
Pretty impressive stats right there. We're going to let Molly take it over.
Well, while Juan Carlos Ferrero is a very impressive tennis player, I'd like to argue that the issue at hand is that Tony Nadal says that there's a problem with having Gallet as the coach because of the fact that she is a woman. He says that there's a logistical problem with her at the locker room, which I would argue is not the case. If you have a problem with her in the locker room, then maybe the men on the team need to work on how they speak to women and how they can kind of interact with her as a coach.
Okay, very fair points from both of you. And now, Jake, you mentioned how the men's team has been struggling. So why is it bad for them to just get a fresh face in León versus Juan Carlos Ferrero?
Juan Carlos Ferrero has been on the team for the last 10 years. He played in 2012. He's played with most of those guys. He knows them well. He knows the team. And more importantly, he knows how to win in the Davis Cup. And I think that more than anything is going to change how they interact and play as a team.
Okay, very fair point. And Molly, there are some pretty big differences in the styles of play. If you look at Nadal, Murray, Djokovic, they play more of a grinded out style, whereas in the women's game, top players have more of a power style, and León doesn't really have any coaching experience. So isn't he justified in not picking her for that?
I'd just like to say that if the issue is that men and women's tennis have different strategies in the way that they play, why is it that there are so many men that coach women's team? I think that if you're a professional athlete, you should understand the differences in men's and women's side of the team, and you should be able to play and coach regardless of what gender you are. There's plenty of women coaches out there, namely the WNBA actually just hired Becky Hammon to be the assistant coach for the San Antonio Spurs. So.
All right, and I'm going to give you guys a really quick chance to rebut each other's arguments. Go super fast.
I don't think that this is a sexism issue. I think this is purely Tony Nadal was saying that he wanted Juan Carlos Ferrero just because of his credentials.
While I agree that Juan Carlos Ferrero does have maybe better credentials, I would say that Tony did make the point that he feels that there's an issue with León being a woman, and that it's more of a problem because of the locker room and her not having a relationship prior to her becoming a coach, which I think should not be a problem.
Okay, really fair arguments from both of y'all. I'm actually going to give the award to Molly this week because even though Tony did maybe have a better suggestion in Ferrero. It's not whether or not who was the best candidate, it's whether or not Leon's justified, and I think that women should be able to coach just like men should.
Gracias a los tres. Those are some awesome points, but I think Tony should focus more on Rafa's performance.
I just hope the Spain's Raging Bull can stay healthy for next year.
Ahora, now, with our favorite sports viral video of the week. An Ohio State student was body slammed by an assisting strength and body conditioning coach after running onto the football field during a home victory over Cincinnati. The student has lost his full tuition and housing scholarship.
Vamos a ver, let's check it out, why this body slam has been so big online. Wow, I thought that was a football game and not a wrestling match. That was definitely the highlight of the game.
I guess you can always expect the unexpected in sports. Yeah. Make sure to visit our website at ramblersportslocker.com and follow us on Twitter and Instagram using the handles you see listed below. Yo soy Adriana Ramos.
Y yo soy Alfredo Rodriguez. Gracias por su atención. Thanks for your attention. Thanks for stopping by the locker, and don't forget to turn out the lights.